I just wanted to get on here today. Oh, goodness, my phone. Let's put my water bottle behind this so it stays propped up, shall we? Okay. Okay, so I just wanted to get on here and just talk a little bit about comparison. I took some notes because I get so sidetracked, but I feel like at any point in the month, there's always people who are gonna like just kind of slip into that comparison trap where you are, hey Sarah, where you are just thinking about like anything but yourself and what you need to be focused on, right? So we all have those moments where we're either sitting there comparing ourselves to how we look or our bodies or our characteristics, ourselves, our success, our leadership, really anything. Like we literally compare ourselves to anything and everything. And it just is like there's always those quotes where they're like, comparison is the thief of joy. Well, you right, because it does. It starts making you feel like everybody else's wins are your losses. And you start sitting there wondering if you're enough and wondering if what you do is enough, and you start doubting yourself, and it is just this like rabbit hole of emotions where you just get like lost, right? So I wanted to kind of talk about just kind of how you get yourself out of that, and what kind of, I guess, the process is for me personally when I'm trying to get myself out of comparison. So I feel like it's super easy to just get stuck in that, and it becomes a major distraction. And when you're trapped in that, like obviously you feel super discouraged, super defeated. And then that just kind of leads to a lack of action, right? And so then you're just kind of stuck in that, and you're like, where do I go from here? And so it messes with your mindset, it messes with your workflow, it messes with your motivation. And if you're like me, and if you struggle with like anxiety, depression, any of those things, it's going to affect that too, right? It makes it like 10 times harder to get out of that mindset. So how I've kind of started to overcome this, I'm not going to act like I'm perfect. I'm not going to I'm not going to act like I never compare myself or any of that. Like, that's not it. But how I start to kind of overcome those feelings is to focus on myself and to stay in my own power. I don't go into some pursuit to like feed my ego. I don't think that helps. I don't go seeking affirmations from other people. I used to a lot, right? I used to sit there and like basically be doing things for the approval of others. I hate disappointing people. I hate like just feeling like I'm not enough. And I start to let my value be determined by like pleasing other people. And that is just so draining. It's so toxic. So I had to just stop, because all it did was make me feel less than. And when you're so focused on everybody else doing well and pleasing other people, it kind of makes that person's win or that person's success. Hi, Kaylee. Thank you. Hey, guys. It makes someone else's win or success feel like your loss. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just like a downer. And it makes you feel insecure, and it makes you feel unmotivated. And that's normal, but we have to not stay there, right? We have to accept where we're at, but then take action to get back in your power. Obviously, we're not sitting here like wishing anybody fails or wishing that anyone is doing poorly. But you do want to do as well as them, right? Like we all look at like leaders or people that inspire us, and we're never like, oh dang, I hope you fall flat on your butt. Like, no, but you do sit there and you're like, dang, I'm not there, and it's so easy to sit there, and that's sitting in a lack mindset. And that's you sitting in a place where you are letting the contrast of someone doing well, it's letting that become your loss. And that's letting you, again, make you feel less than. So the reminder here is that if somebody else wins, you get to win too. It's not like a zero-sum game. It's not someone else is winning, so therefore I'm second best or third best or whatever. Like it's not any, like you're not any less than. Exactly. It's not like, it just becomes a pity party, and that's not where you need to be. If I'm secure in my own stuff, like with what I'm doing, with where I'm at, if I'm secure and someone else is doing amazing, it gives me an example of something that I can do to duplicate, but in my own way. I'm not going to sit here and copy them. I'm not going to act like their story is mine, because that's not it. Like, I'm not going to, like, there's girls that I know who are doing amazing things, but like, I don't have that lifestyle and I'm not committed to their process. So I'm not going to act like it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to stick to me and who I am and what I'm doing and how I carry myself and my values and how I represent myself. I'm not going to sit here and duplicate who that person is, but I can duplicate the action steps in my own way that they're doing to hit their goals, to hit mine, if that makes sense. And it lets me know that it's possible to get to that level. Yes, exactly. Secure in what you're doing, but eventually need to invest more time into just shutting up. Like, just show up, do it. Like, that's it. Oh goodness, my water bottle fell. And that means everything else will fall. Okay, we good. But yes, like, legit, you just have to use that to get inspired. Don't sit there and compare yourself. Don't sit there and be like, oh dang, there she goes again. Like, I can never be that way. Like, no, just be like, yeah, girl, clap for her, keep it moving. And if you can't do that, then don't even give yourself the temptation. Like, literally just unfollow them or stop paying attention to them and focus on your own stuff. You have to be able to motivate yourself. You can't always look at other people for motivation, and you can't let this like competition and comparison be what drives you, because you never win that way. It's just, it drains you. But you have to look at these people and think, you know, I have the tools, I have good content, I have the potential, and just like switch your perspective. Go into self-assurance, go into a confident place, and use the roadmap that these other people have created to see what's possible. But don't let it take away your ability to do, or like to like give you permission. You don't need permission. Like, just go do it and don't ask questions. Yeah, set your goals and then just go for them. And yes, exactly, like social media gives fame to fools. That's so funny. But really, like, no one, you don't need permission from anyone. You don't need to please anyone. Like, the people who you inspire and who you touch, like, there's your support. And it doesn't matter if it's one person, it doesn't matter if it's 10, it doesn't matter if it's 10K. Like, you need to just do it. But I think that's a huge thing also, is just being aware. When you know you're in that place of comparison, you can't sit there and be like, I'm good, everything's fine, and like sit there and act like you're not comparing yourself, because then you're just lying to yourself, first of all, and you're not going to take any action to get out of that headspace. So you have to recognize when you're feeling overwhelmed or distracted or defeated, or when you're losing confidence in your own abilities, because that's when you become distracted, and that's when you stop taking that action. You stop building those relationships, you stop doing the things that you know you need to do, because you already have talked yourself out of it and feel defeated because somebody else is doing that. And when you take a step back and say that out loud, you realize how absolutely ridiculous that is. But in the moment, like, if you're just living in oblivion and acting like you're not doing that and you're not being self-aware, that's where you're going to end up. And like, I've been there. Okay. So I'm speaking from experience. I'm not throwing out some like BS Pinterest quote. I'm talking from my own experience, but yeah, you have to just keep building. If you don't build, the rest doesn't matter. So you have to do the baseline work that you know how to do, and you have to shift your mindset and be aware, and then choose to find ways to stay in your power instead of staying in that mindset. So you have to name your feelings and you have to be aware of them and you have to acknowledge it, like, period. And then once you do that, move your mindset, move into a place of gratitude. Look at what you are really good at. Like, I can sit there and, you know, I have a leader who's on my team who I used to sit there and be like, I just, like, I don't talk to people the way she does. I don't hype them up. I don't have that ability to just display all my emotions, whatever. But I had to stop looking at what I don't do as well as her and just cut the crap and look at what I am good at. Like, I had to sit there and be like, you know what? I'm great at one-on-ones. I'm great at lifting people up. I'm great at brainstorming and helping people know what to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, I just had to list off the things that I am amazing at, what assets I do have, what I have created, and, like, what I do isn't nothing. Like, what I do can make an impact. So why would I sit here and think about all the things that I don't do enough of or that I don't have, when I can sit there and show gratitude for what I do have and what I have done and what I have built? You have to tap into the subtle art of not giving a what. Like, I'm not going to cuss because, like, you never know, my mother-in-law might be watching. But anyway, but you have to stop caring what everybody else thinks. The most confident people are secure in what they don't have, and they take ownership of what they don't have, and then they work towards what they want, period. If you're never satisfied with what you don't I mean, yeah, with what you're not having, I don't know, I'm getting, like, all in my head with my words, but basically you have to own where you're at. You have to be thankful for where you're at. I'm struggling, but you have to be thankful for where you're at. You have to just take ownership of what you don't have. Like, I'm like in network marketing and I'm doing it full time, and that's awesome, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm 100% financially free. Like, y'all, I got student loans, period. Like, I'm not sitting here acting like I have hit all the goals that I want to hit in my life, but I am happy with where I'm at and what I'm working towards. Exactly. Like, you can be grateful for where you're at and still chase more, but, like, you have to be grateful. And I think people are like, oh, I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for whatever. But, like, you need to be thankful for, like, legit where you are and the small wins, and celebrate those and the small successes. Like, it's those little things that add up, but you're never going to be satisfied unless you can be grateful where you're at. And just owning the fact that, like, this is where I'm at and the reality of the situation, like, that's a good thing. Like, nobody wants to see someone who, like, has X, Y, and Z and they're never thankful for it and they're always just wanting the next. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, when I see people who are like, man, I was gonna, travel to Europe and I had to cancel my trip, and I'm like, oh, must be nice. I'm not traveling nowhere anytime soon because I have loans and bills and real life, and my hubs works, and, like, he can't just take off whenever, you know what I mean? I'm like, be grateful. And that's probably how people look at you. So, like, just be humble and be grateful with where you're at, because a lot of people aren't where you're at. Stop looking at everybody who's, like, ahead of you and think about the people who aren't. Like, think about the people who do have less and be grateful for what you have. Anyway, but yeah, ownership is key. You have to be okay with what you don't have right now. Own what you have, be okay with the things that you don't. And there is just so much power in gratitude and ownership. So, like, step into that and, like, check yourself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And then another thing I've had to do in moving towards getting out of comparison is just building your own confidence and overcoming your insecurity. And that all starts with taking action, like, period. You have to take the time to learn. You have to get some wins under your belt, and just, like, start feeling confident. But people are always like, well, how do you do that? you get uncomfortable and you take scary action. Like, y'all, I'm sweating right now. Like, I'm probably gonna have to change my shirt when I'm done with this because I get nervous talking to people and I ramble and I have these moments where I'm like, duh, I don't even know what I'm saying. But you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to start showing up and then share those wins. And like, confidence comes from experience. It'll make you better. It'll help you focus. It gets that experience under your belt until you're good at it. You get more innovated, you get more exposure, but like, you have to take action. Like, that's it. You can sit here all day long and talk about the things that you want to do and that you know you need to do, and then you just keep putting them off. No, make yourself a to-do list and check it off when you've done it. I'm serious. Yes, Val. I remember when Valerie, this is just a side note, when she first started, she was like, I think I'm just going to kind of ease in and I don't know if I'm going to share things and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, yeah, okay. And she literally just had to like dive in. And she was like, this is freaking me out. Like, but this is what I did and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, good. Like, get out of your comfort zone. Put yourself out there. Like, go make your hair look a little decent. Throw on a little cover up if that's what boosts your confidence, and like, get on, like, go share yourself. You know what I mean? And, but yeah, it really, like, you have to give yourself the opportunity to have more experience. And then you'll see, not only did you survive getting out of your comfort zone, but you also got the experience and you got better and you grew. And that is huge. And you begin to exceed your own expectations when you start just taking action. But it, like, you have to, like, you will not move unless you're taking action. So to help build your own self-esteem and your own confidence, you just have to double down on your own journey. You have to take those scary steps. You have to overcome and just like get over that feeling of being scared, or like just do it scared. I don't care. Just do what you need to do, but do it. But for real, confidence is a area specific. Like, in order to feel and overcome comparison or feel like that feeling of being unworthy, you have to get experience and insight. And so then with taking action, I swear I'm going to wrap it up soon, but I get going. Focus and flow. You have a vision of what you want to create. You know what you're going for. And when you have that in mind, you will rarely get distracted. You will rarely lose your focus. And like, for me, like, y'all, I don't know if it's like legit my anxiety or what. I went and got tested for like ADHD, and they were like, it's just your mind. You can't turn it off, and that's what's distracting you. And I'm like, awesome. So I'm figuring that out. But that is like the biggest thing, is you have to have that focus. You have to look at like who you're doing this for. Who are you serving? Why are you doing this? And what do you want to get out of this? And you have to focus on the things that will get you there. When you're focused, you're gonna flow, okay? So you have to look at what these people that you are serving, what they want, what they need. How can you give that to them? What are you doing? What can you do to help them get where they need to go? So like, for me, I'm big on helping people with their, you know, doing what I do, like trying to do what I do this full time, do it part time. It doesn't matter because I did it both. But I focus on that. So I have to focus every day and show up every day for those people who are relying on me. But you have to have a plan and a strategy. You have to create that, and you have to know what you want to achieve. So that's kind of where your focus lies. And then to flow, to keep it flowing, you need to implement that, and you have to feel good about what you're creating. You have to have some passion in there, or else you're going to be all over the place. You will not know what it is you're focused on if you're not like at least a little bit passionate about it. And if you can't like tie it to why you're doing it, then like, it's not for you. You have to get excited about your own ish, y'all. Like, you have to. And then you have to like give yourself those task lists. You have to do it passionately. You have to take responsibility for taking action. But when you get in your zone and you're focused on what fires you up and you're not like looking around for inspiration, and you're getting more excited about your own stuff, like that's when you're going to start just flowing. So then we move into perception, and you have to face the fact that your struggles are always going to be magnified to yourself. Okay, I'm a Pisces, and so like I'm so sensitive, everything's personal, the world's out to get me, like y'all know I'm sensitive. Okay, so I've really had to get out of like realizing that my issues or my struggles or what I'm going through that feels like the end of the world is not any bigger than anyone else's struggles. Okay, everyone's got problems. Life is hard for everybody. Okay, it's not just you. You're not the only one going through this, so you don't get to just like shut down and isolate and act like you're the only one going through anything. There are so many people who show up anyway. Okay, they might have their whole world turned upside down and you might not ever know, because they're committed to their process and they're committed to going anyway. So you have to have that perception that like your issues are going to be magnified to yourself. But guess what? Everyone else is also struggling with their own ish. Like, we see their highlight reel. It seems like they're crushing it. It seems like the gap between where we are and where we see them is just massive, right? You're like, well, they're doing great. Like, I have X, Y, and Z going on and I'm just struggling and I have crippling anxiety and I can't get there. Like, they don't even know. They don't have issues. Psych, they do. Stop telling yourself that. We're in our own every day and all we see is other people's wins. And that's so easy to like take to heart or to put in your head or to focus on. And you can't, y'all, because people who are winning have issues too. Okay, like I promise you, you're not the only one. All my little Pisces, we're not the only ones. Like, we have to get that through our heads. And you have to think about the negativity bias. I don't know if y'all have heard of this, but it's basically like we as humans are 10 times more likely to focus on the negative than the positive, right? So for example, if I were to share this live and I have 10 different people going, oh my gosh, that was so great, I needed that, thank you for sharing, whatever. And then I get one person who's like, why would you even say that? Like, that was useless. What do you think I'm going to focus on? You think I'm going to be there like, oh my gosh, 10 people liked my thing, so excitable? I'm going to be like, no, this hussy like had the audacity to tell me how dumb it was to put myself out there. And you know what? You have to realize that like if we're feeling bad, it's magnified times 10 to ourselves. And we need to take into account that there's other people who are struggling. And just because we only see the good stuff in other people's lives doesn't mean they don't have it too. But like, you can't only focus on the negative in your life, and you can't only focus on the things that go wrong. Like, you have to focus on the positives. You have to celebrate the small wins. That's huge. It's a big part of shifting your mindset. And I mean, that's like why when someone that we look up to says they're struggling, we feel this like relief, because we're like, okay, you're real. Like, okay, good. Like, you're struggling too? Okay, good. I can relate, finally something I can relate to. And hey, Britt, when people are like they act like everything's good, and then you like bond over something that happened that's like atrocious, and then like your BFFs. Yeah, because like we focus on the negative things, and when we see someone who goes through something negative, we're like, okay, I can relate. And I don't know why that is, but that's how we are, and it makes us feel closer to them. And it's so weird, but that's just like how we operate. But it makes you feel closer to success when someone that you're looking up to feels struggle too. And that's just like the reality. And we start to feel more empowered to do more because it feels like we're like in it together. So I think that's another thing, is like, for the people who look up to you, or for the people that you look up to, like, y'all need to just be real with each other. And like, you can recognize the things that are hard and overcome them together with the support, instead of sitting here like bottling it up and acting like you're the only one struggling, because all that does is like I said, has you sit here comparing yourself to the person who's winning, who looks like they don't have anything wrong, when that's just not the case. Like, you're not the only one who struggles. But yeah, there is just, I don't know, there's so much power in remembering that everything we struggle with is magnified to us. And you have to notice when that's triggered and then kind of refocus on the positive. And I know that's like so much easier said than done, but like, you have to take that action. You have to notice something when it's a trigger, and like when other people are focusing on negative things, like, don't make that your truth. Don't sit there and like let that take you into a whirlwind of self-doubt. You need to notice that that's a trigger, and then do things that affirm you in your actual truth. Like, affirm yourself, empower yourself, tell yourself what you need in order to just process that and lead to a better outcome, which is one of my last points, is just process versus outcome. You have to, you have to think about, okay, what is the outcome that I'm going for, and what's the process to get to that? I love this example because it's like, I relate to it so much, but you have to think about, like, do you only covet the outcome, or would you also enjoy the journey? For me, with my last company, the outcome was like, get rich, be bomb, be an influencer, whatever. But the process was sending out 8 billion cold messages and spamming my feed. And every time you look at my page, all it is business stuff, and you don't see anything but that. And like, I was not willing to commit to that process to hit that goal, period. That's not me. It felt icky. I was like working out of desperation. I couldn't do it. And the thought of doing that full time like made me want to breathe into a paper bag, because I was like, I can't, like, I do not want to sit home and message people all day long. Like, that makes me disgusted. Like, I can't. And that's just me. Same thing, like, do I want abs? Yeah. But do I want to run and give up pizza and whatever? Like, no, heck no. I'm not committed to abs because I'm not committed to the process to get to them. Like, yeah, I'd like to like sculpt and tone a little bit, and I'll eat a little better, and I'll go to the gym, and I'll live, holistically in my health. But like, I'm not gonna go with a process that I can't commit to. So like, if you don't want the lifestyle, then don't do it and focus on something else. If you do like the lifestyle and the process to get to those goals, then do it. But you have to realize your goals and then realize the steps that it takes to get there. If you decide that, like, yeah, I'm going for it and I don't care what the process is, then like, great. But if not, then take it off the table. Like, don't focus on that. But you have to know, what sacrifices do you actually want to make, and what lifestyle do you actually want to live out? It's a lot easier to take the desired outcome of someone's life when you realize that you don't want the process. So stop comparing yourself to someone if you don't want to do the same things they're doing to get to the same goals that they've hit. Because if you're not with it, then like, if you're like, okay, but I don't want to do any of that, then okay, take that outcome off the table. Because if you're not going to take the action, you're not going to get there. So whatever, you know what I mean? But you just have to realize, like, what's the trade-off? For me, I like the way I do things. I like to double down on those things and be in my power, so that I can get out of feeling stuck and get out of that comparison and get out of that distraction, and get out of feeling like everything that I'm doing is wrong and everyone else has it right. Like, I love when I can get out of that mindset, because it's a huge perception shift. Comparison is literally just a choice in perception. Do not choose to compare yourself to someone who is doing better in a certain metric. We live in a world where someone is always more or less than, and a lot of times we don't ever choose to compare ourselves to someone who isn't as successful as we are. We always have this ugly way of choosing to look out into the world at someone who is doing whatever way better. And like, the metric that we're measuring in is like literally them doing way better and us feeling bad about it. Like, why do we do that to ourselves? That's dumb. So You have to address those feelings in that moment, get objective, look at the tools, look at the things you need to do in order to focus and flow towards your goals. Be committed to your process to hit those goals. And you have to just get creative and be excited about your own stuff. Like you have to find ways to feel more in your power, and you have to stop pausing and looking around and just get excited about your own lifestyle, your own stuff that you're doing. Be excited, be creative, be grateful for what you have right now, and then take the action steps towards what you're growing towards and just keep going. But you have to stop looking left and right and letting this like comparison perception shift like drain you to the point where you're just not moving at all, period. Now is not the time to just stop and watch everybody else. It's the time to step out of that negativity and focus and take action to help you keep moving in your own journey and your own growth. I just talked so much. So I'm done. That is the tea for today. I hope that resonated with some of you, because I know what comparison can do for like to hinder your growth and to hinder how you think about yourself. And it really is like, let's flash back to the Pinterest quote, and like comparison is such a thief of joy, but like it really is, and it keeps you distracted and it keeps you from moving. So do what you need to do, get out of that headspace, and let's just keep it moving. Just do it. Just take action and just go. Okay, I am done. Y'all have an amazing day. Thank you to those who listened to my TED Talk, and y'all have just a fabulous Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Yeah, have an awesome Tuesday, y'all.